The peace plan mooted by the American president. Let's discuss that. Maj Gen Sudhakar Jee, geopolitical expert, is with us live. Maj Gen Sudhakar Jee, the big question is, will Hamas accept this peace proposal?
Yeah, good morning, Uday. That's a big question which should rightfully come to everyone's mind. But before I respond to that question, there may or may not, a very quick reflection. But let me just give you a little, very short and brief preamble. You see, firstly, compliments to the American leadership. I think this is what was required, not tariffs or counter tariff and trade barriers, protectionism, etc., etc. This is what he had committed during the election campaigning, and this is what people are aspiring and looking for: peace and stability in the Middle East, peace and stability in the Central Europe. So, coming to this particular proposal, the roadmap is very welcome development, and everyone should actually compliment Donald Trump in his leadership. This is a very big thing coming our way and in the way of global peace and harmony. However, I have certain suggestions and comments on these issues. Firstly, whether Hamas will accept it or not, it's a question which will come later. Firstly, I would say that in the back of this particular proposal, does USA accept the two-nation theory? This is the first question. Although intermittently interpretation of all the points you have highlighted, Uday, it gives an understanding that it is an accepted fact that without the accepting two-nation theory, the whole proposal will fall flat. Number 2 point, I would say that when you talk about Hamas strongholds to be dismantled, there is requirement of a joint verification force from both sides, Israel as also Palestinian or the Hamas, and a neutral side, a three-party. Next point I have to suggest is that Hamas must declare a list of Hamas who are in the role of the military panel. Those who are supposed designated for kind of a combat situation, they must also declare officially how much of tunnel is left. To my understanding, out of 500, roughly 500 kilometers of underground tunnel, around 30% has been actually destroyed, and good about 30-35% of the weaponry has been destroyed. But unless you have a start point, what do you look for? So therefore, start point in form of an official declaration by Hamas. I know they won't do it, but let there be some kind of a commitment in the start point for which we can look towards, achieving that target. Next point I have is the whole proposal should be divided into a short-term, a medium-term, and a long-term proposal. It cannot be done in 15 days or 20 days or 1 year. It may go beyond 3 years. Look at Oslo's treaty, which was signed way back in 1993, but nothing has happened. So similarly, a kind of a inbuilt time bound, when you say short term, the short term should finish off by a particular timeline. By so-and-so time, the objective or the roadmap which Donald Trump and his team have formulated, it should be laced with the time-bound objectives. What is the short-term objective they would like to achieve? And in the medium term, let's say 1 to 2 years or 5 years, those objectives and the time stipulation should be defined. Similarly, long-term. Also, what is actually linked? It's a very complex issue. It's not that easy, we only hope and pray that Donald Trump's plan actually fructifies and comes into realism, a realistic achievement. But the fact of the matter is, it is so complex that it has got a global angle, it has got a regional angle, it has got a respective national.
Now is Ambassador KP Fabian, former diplomat. Ambassador Fabian, what do you make of this peace plan? What is the likelihood of Hamas's acceptance of it?
The speaker said about the Oslo Accord. It was signed in 1993, and in 1995, the Prime Minister who signed it, Rabin, was murdered because Netanyahu and his followers incited that murder. It is that. Now, coming to this accord, which, as already pointed out, we are yet to see whether Hamas will accept. My view is that Hamas has hardly any choice. Because if it doesn't accept, then Netanyahu's genocide continues. And also, since the 8 Islamic nations have already accepted it, Hamas will be left without any international support. So I take it, they have no choice but to accept it. Now, coming to the question of the likely emergence of a Palestinian state, I'm afraid I have seen the text. It has been published by Al Jazeera, and the language is very vague. It speaks of something which might or might not happen in the future. And another point is that the withdrawal of the Israeli forces again is they have used a very convoluted language. So it is likely that this will be accepted by Hamas, and the hostages will be freed, and after that, a certain number of Palestinians whom Israel had incarcerated will be freed. And then what happens, we have to see. As far as Hamas is concerned, it has indirectly already accepted that it does not want it to play any role in the post-conflict situation. But I have one serious concern, and that is the association of Tony Blair with this plan. His autobiography, I had reviewed it for the front line, calling him the Tory Blair, not Tony Blair, because he was also behind the overthrow of the democratically elected president in Egypt after the Arab Spring. So he caters to Western financial interests, and he has no commitment to the right of the Palestinian for a statehood. So it's associated. And also, don't forget that a House of Commons, I'm finishing, House of Commons committee has...
All right. In fact, now we're getting another statement coming in. The United States President Donald Trump has said that Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Field Marshal Asim Munir have backed his plan to end the Gaza conflict 100%, listing Pakistan amongst the world leaders which are involved in the negotiations on the issue.
I also want to thank Prime Minister Netanyahu for agreeing to the plan and